I suppose we're in there.
And we're back.
We're back.
Like we never left. Again, another TV show, a podcast thingy.
Welcome to the Self-Trust Podcast.
Self-Trust Podcast.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
We needed that. We didn't even know we needed that. But you gave it to us. And we are so grateful for it.
Because I have trust in my voice.
It sounds like you trust yourself.
Trust my voice?
I think if I heard it, I would trust it. Okay. Like if I didn't know you and I heard you talking, I'd be like, yo, that man know what he's saying. So welcome to another season of the Self-Trust Podcast, now known the Self-Trust Podcast, because I know she loves a name change. But today I wanted to just have a conversation with husband.
We're talking about Bay.
Just catch up, let people know what we've been up to, what's been going on. There's been so much happening since the last time I dropped an episode, and the goal is to do this consistently.
How's that working out?
This is going to be the first episode, so I'm excited about it.
All right.
And it's not dropping until
you've been working consistently, though. It hasn't been quote unquote in a podcast format, but they check you out on Pinterest. You got mad content.
Yeah, I do. Check me out on Pinterest. I got my content for sure, and that's facts. Facts. That's on period. I know JP said I gotta retire that.
And you didn't say the whole phrase though.
That's on period poo. He's not a fan.
I'm not.
How are you?
Like right now, I'm hungry.
Obviously.
So after this, I'm going to go eat some delicious chicken sandwiches.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You still want tortillas today?
No, not today. Don't you got a book club?
I do got the book club.
You don't have time. You don't have time for tortilla. Tortilla takes time. I have to fly Auntie in to make them tonight.
Oh, well, good luck with that. So
I'm doing all right. Had a beach day yesterday. It was pretty relaxing.
Yes.
Beach working. Got a job to pay the bills.
Where are you working at? That's something that's something
not
new.
Something that happened last time we were on a podcast together.
Yeah. Where you at? Where you
work
at
at CBS Sports, which is part of Viacom CBS, managing a bunch of engineers. Do a bunch of engineering work.
How's that going?
It's going all right. Not too bad. I think I'm doing. I don't think I'm doing. I know I'm doing a good job, but every day there's always the question: is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? So, but for now, it's keeping certain dreams in progress. So sometimes, you got to play that tambourine while getting paid decently.
I think more than decently, but that's all right. We're not about to do that on the podcast today. We don't need to. It's not a career conversation.
It's not the career queens.
Another career queens. But do check them out on Clubhouse, though. I love the career queens. That's Tino and Cassie, and they have an amazing conversation. They host every Saturday, so make sure you check them out.
Clubhouse, you've been on there too.
Yeah, I've been hanging out on Clubhouse.
You've been on Clubhouse a couple times. You've been leading some conversations. Been featured on the stage.
I have. Look at you.
Yeah.
I hear promoting your wife.
Don't I always? That's my job.
That's your job. You play that tambourine, bruh.
Yeah. Clubhouse, which apparently is about worth $4 billion now.
Yes.
Twitter was going to pay that much, or it's in talks to pay that much for them. So
I didn't even know they were doing that.
Yeah, it's interesting now because when you have Clubhouse, it's really all the other companies, they can create the same thing. So now it's the race to create Clubhouse on every other platform. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, everybody's going to make their own Clubhouse. So that may bring down the value of the original Clubhouse, but the original is always going to be the original. Although the Snapchat story is one of importance here because everybody has Snapchat functionality now, and then Snapchat kind of took a nosedive, if anyone's still there. But
are people still on Snapchat?
I don't think so.
Man, what a tragedy! What a tragedy!
Yeah.
How the mighty have fallen. I think they're doing okay though. I don't know.
But other than that, I'm reading more. I'm not gonna say I'm reading more. I'm talking about what I'm reading more. We did a series, so we've been doing books with Babe. We were doing this probably when the podcast was maybe going on before.
We may have been, yeah.
But on YouTube, we read a book and we talk about it and how it impacts our lives, how we're using it in marriage. We actually just finished an episode before this.
Yes.
So check it out on YouTube with Books with Bae.
Books with Bae. We're going to put the link. I'm gonna drop the link on the info section on the episode.
Yeah, that's that. And making some beats. So that's kind of been my creative outlet, learning how to use the tools and make some sounds.
I love that for you. I love that you're letting your creativity run wild.
Well, run wild, but it's an outlet. My creativity was running wild to be running wild on the couch.
That's your lower self. That's not your creativity. Be creative laying down on the couch. How many positions can I get on this couch on today? You've been playing tennis.
I have been playing tennis. Lots of tennis.
You moved?
Well, you did too. You said what's up with me. So
yeah. You're right.
Us. But yes,
I
moved too. We did move. I moved for the job specifically. So we were in St. Pete, and now we are in Fort Lauderdale. So the other side of the state, the other coast of the state. So the water's not as clear on this side.
It's a little rough too.
But we live across from a great park. So
yes.
It's been nice. We're playing a lot of tennis at.
Yep.
Playing a whole lot of tennis since the pandemic. Have we done a podcast since the pandemic? Oh my God. We don't have an agenda. We got so much to talk about. Enough about me. What about you, man? What you been up to?
Oh man, I've been great. Like there's been so much happening in my life. I know you mentioned our move. All the things JP's doing, minus some of the things JP's doing.
Quit copying off me.
I mean, we live together, bro. Like, what do you want from me? I also moved from St. Pete. I moved to Fort Lauderdale. I live across a park.
You live across the park?
I live across the street from a park.
Yourself like a squirrel across the park.
I'm also playing tennis. We actually have a tennis coach. His name is TJ. He is dope, and his daughter, she's
a champ.
She's amazing.
Literally.
She's gonna be winning some Grand Slams. Like, she is amazing. Yeah. And I'm bringing the podcast back. So, I have my business, which has evolved a little bit, or a lot of it.
Well, the name of the podcast has changed. So
it's changed because the name. Okay. Oh, you look at you. You said you're getting better at like being an interviewer. I think your interviewer skills are improving too, by the way.
Yeah. Am I interviewing you now?
It seems like you are.
No.
You're giving me interviewer energy.
Oh, okay.
So yes, I have my business, which I have rebranded based on me getting more niched on what I do best and who I do it best with. So now I'm literally doing the same thing, y'all. It's literally just about who I'm like, I'm not even gonna make it hot. Like, I'm doing the same thing, but it's more niched and it's more focused. So right now my program is called Self-Trust Mastery. And I focus on literally that, helping you master your self-trust. And I work with business owners, particularly coaches, consultants, and healers, so that I can help them dominate their industry with calm and courage. Dominate. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to dominate. So that's something that I've been working on. I'm super excited about it, especially because it's I see it as I want to use the word culmination, but I know that things don't necessarily culminate. They just evolve into their next stage and butterfly out of their cocoon into their next evolution. And this is the next evolution of the Nory Pouncil brand. I'm Healthy Fit is no more. That has happened since I last was on a podcast. Yeah, we retired I Am Healthy Fit, and now it's allnorypouncil.com.
What led to that?
I think I'm Healthy Fit was the brand that was really about like fitness, like even you hear it, like I am healthy fit. And as I've evolved and as I've grown, I realized that I was holding on to this brand. And by holding on to this brand, I wasn't accepting and receiving what I was evolving to. And it just kind of felt safe. Like I'm healthy fit feels safe. I had done it for so many years. People knew it. People knew me with it. So it just felt like, oh, this is the thing to do. But I had outgrown the brand, to be quite frank with you. So changed website, changed branding, all of that fun stuff. And now it's norypouncil.com, self-trust coach, which I love. I love that because I think I'm really good at it. And I don't think I am really good at it. Like I'm probably the best person at it.
What is a self-trust coach?
A self-trust coach really focuses on helping you get clear on what are the limiting beliefs that are standing in the way of executing the life of your dreams with calm and consistency and courage. And that's one of the things that makes me different than other coaches is my approach to doing these things. I'm not trying to have you stressed during this process. Like my energy is very much so we're trying to do this, we're going to do it with calm. We want to do it with equanimity, which just means being calm in any circumstance that you're in and having a really good time while you're doing that. And I find that a lot of my clients, they are so uncomfortable with that.
That was my next question. Like, how is that working with people? Because we know anytime we initially enter a situation, we're typically not calm if this is the first time. We're typically, I'm scared. What's going on? This is new territory. How do I find out what's going on? Is it going to eat me? Is there a monster over there? So how have you been dealing with your clients in that initial, even the name of the self-trust system is like, I gotta trust myself? I can't even do the things I say I want to do.
Yeah, so I have a system. It's called the self-trust system.
Who helped you with that system?
Of course you did, babe. Babe helped me with the system. We actually put the system together in December last year. So we sat down and for 2 weeks, we hammered it out and we got it done. And it's a beautiful system. You're probably seeing a visual right now if you're watching this video. And if not, there is a link to an actual visual of it in the description so that you can watch it. You can see it later. It's been interesting doing the system with my clients because a lot of them are facing the discomfort that comes from acknowledging that they don't trust themselves as much as they would like. Because the thing about self-trust is that it's not something that you either have or you don't. It's something that you have a certain level of, and the more you get of it, the more your life transforms according to the terms that you want for it. So I think a lot of my clients, I'm learning a lot of my clients, they don't realize how much they don't trust themselves in certain areas. They don't realize how much they've surrendered that trust to other people. And that's it's kind of jarring to begin that process and to notice like, man, like this runs deep. Like this is some deep shit. And that's a lot of the work that we do together is to kind of do that unpacking and to get really like, all right, where am I? Right? Like where am I in the stages of self-trust? Because I've discovered there are 4 stages. And one of the stages is the survivor stage. That's like the second stage where we're just kind of surviving. A lot of people like to use, they label themselves as like, I feel like I'm always surviving. And then I just want to thrive, right? But there's another stage after that. Like after thriving, you can be steering. You can steer where your life goes versus being like, I'm thriving. You can be like, oh, like I'm steering now how I thrive versus I'm just thriving. I feel really good about what I'm doing. So it's been really fun doing this work with them because it has elevated my own self-trust. Because in order for me to help them do it, I need to be at another level with how much I trust myself. Because if not, they're not going to be able to get that out of the program, right? People get what you put in. So if I'm out here doubting every decision that I make, that's the same energy that I'm going to take to the work that I'm doing. So it has really pushed me and propelled me to trust myself even more and to be okay with the discomfort associated with doing that. Because trusting yourself is uncomfortable, and a lot of people don't realize that that is part of that process. Is an uncomfortable part of the process.
What would you say was the catalyst for you switching? You're kind of really still doing the same work, but going from whatever you call it, you didn't have a signature program before.
No, I did not.
Towards creating the self-trust system.
I think you were the catalyst for some of these things. I know you would have brought up Aaron Fletcher. To the house. We were looking at how we're gonna reconstruct the business and really just stepping outside from just trying to make money to just being like, okay, how can we do what we enjoy? Particularly, how can I do what I enjoy? And it just kind of made sense to think about, all right, well, where do I want to focus on and where do I want to niche down to? And I remember even us listening to Brooke Castillo's podcast, and she talked a lot about like, just have some cohesiveness with whatever you do. So if you do a podcast, name it after the thing that you do. If you have a signature program, name everything the same thing. And I have always had this very uncomfortable relationship with doing that because I'd be like, oh my God, I'm doing the same thing. That's so boring. That's mad whack. And I want to be whack. So just the idea of being like creativity can thrive more within structure is something that was also part of that catalyst. So just being able to see things differently and be like, you know what? It is so cool to have something that it's my signature framework and I teach this framework and it works, right? And we love frameworks. We think about the 4 tendencies from Gretchen, think about the love languages from Chapman, the 4 agreements from Miguel Ruiz, The list can literally go
This
on.
books for Vegas or is this the
You know, I'm just giving y'all books and books and books because that's how generous I am with y'all. But these are all frameworks that people find very helpful. And there's nothing like that for self-trust, right? Like there are conversations around self-trust. There may be even books around how to trust yourself, but they're not giving you a framework that you can look and follow and do that. And it's pretty cool that I was able to develop that and to share that with my clients. And it just feels really, really amazing. So, I mean, I even have a training on how a system works. If you go to theselftrustsystem.com, you'll be able to find it. But if you go to I Am Healthy,
back, wrong man.
Rewind. If you go to norypouncil.com, there's also a direct link to take you to the system there as well, and you can watch a training. And if you're a healer, a consultant, or a coach, then you can book some time to talk to me, and we can see if I can help you implement this training, implement the system in your life so that you can 10x your business, you know, and live the life of your dreams. So that's been a lot about what I've been up to and the transitions I've made. And it's been great. It's been really great for me. I've been working with Pinterest. So if you go to pinterest.com/Nory Pouncil, you'll be able to check out my content there. She got a little community, which is not that little. And it's been amazing because I've been featured a number of places since I pivoted to the self-trust system and to being a self-trust coach. I think there was a little bit about me that was scared about the pivot and like, well, what is this going to mean to all the work that I've done? And I'm so grateful for you because you always remind me like, hey, this is not new. Like you're not doing something that you haven't done before. It just looks a little different than what you've done before, but you're building on what you've done. And it just makes this transition even easier for me. So since shifting to being a self-trust coach and launching the self-trust system, and now I'm working with Pinterest, I was featured in Forbes. I was featured in Madame Noir. I was on Univision as well. I was on TV recently.
You speak Spanish?
Stop it. I'm not doing this with you today. I'm not doing this with you today. I was featured in a bunch of other places at this Birdie. There's a bunch of other spots that I be hanging out at where I'm just generally talking about, I was on a radio station with Sherry Nicole, who's an amazing host. She's over at Philly Flavor, I think is what it's called. So it's just been a lot of opportunities opening up for me since I made this pivot. So it's been great. It's been lots of fun.
Nice. So tell us, you changed the name of the podcast or of your lot in your business.
Yeah, everything is now under the self-trust umbrella because that's what I focus on, right? So the only thing that's not self-trust is norypouncil.com, but that's because Nory Pouncil is the brand, but the selftrustsystem.com is where you can find the training for my program. So.
All right. So tell us a little bit about this system that you developed.
Yeah, so the system is pretty cool. I'm not just saying that because I did it. So the system essentially has two components. One is the journey, and then the second one is the map to navigate that journey. So the first part, which you will see on norypouncil.com, is the journey, and there are 4 stages to this journey. The first stage is what I call the floundering stage or the reacting stage. At this stage, we're really navigating out of old patterns. This is all the work of the subconscious here. And a lot of times people feel really lost and confused at this stage because they are working through these old patterns and they're trying to figure out why they don't work. They're very highly dependent on the validation of other people. So they're having a tough time listening to their intuition, acknowledging their feelings so that they can move on. So if you want to go from the first stage to the second stage, the key is to acknowledge your feelings. You want to be clear around how are you feeling? What do you have going on so that you can make the changes that you desire in order to move forward. Then the next stage is what I call the responsive stage, also known as the survivor stage. A lot of people identify themselves with this stage because they literally just feel like they're surviving. They're feeling exhausted, but they're also grateful. They're grateful because they are seeing some progress in their lives. They're like, I'm making some decisions and it feels good, but they're exhausted because they're living this like double life, you know, where they are trying to do their thing, but they're still trying to live according to the expectations of other people. And that can be really exhausting because you trying to live your life, but you're also trying to live this other life. It just feels like something is off here. And if you want to move from this stage to the third stage, the key is to have some acceptance and what I call uncomfortable honesty. You need to be able to look at your life in your business and see, yo, I'm moving these things like this right now, and this is not how I want it to work. And it's not going to continue to work for me if I operate from this space where I'm trying to make other people happy, where I'm trying to meet other people's expectations at the expense of my own. So that's the second stage. Then we hit the third stage, is the thriving stage. Here it's all about refining, honestly. At this stage, you're feeling good. You're feeling like you're making progress. You're making with some more consistency. The danger here with this particular stage, though, is that because you're making progress and you feel excited about your progress, people tend to stay at the stage. It's very easy to get comfortable at the stage.
Kick back and relax.
I'm just gonna, chill, enjoy the show. I'm not doing nothing else no more. I already did my part, already did my work. And people tend to stay at this stage because it just feels good and you are making progress, right? But it hits the point where you find that you don't know what you don't know. So when you don't know what you don't know, you need to go find that information. So in order for you to move on to the fourth stage, you have to align yourself with the people that have that information that you need in order for you to grow, in order for your business to grow, and you to get to the next level. And you want to make sure that you're willing to be very intentional about moving beyond your comfort zone so that you can reach the next level, because there is another level. And that level is called steering, which is really all about you being on top of the game. Like at this level, you're moving, you're releasing all the things that you cannot control. And the beautiful thing about this stage is that up to the first three stages, it's all about what you can control. It's like, hey, I can do this. I can think these thoughts. I can release these beliefs. I can align myself with this people. I can build this community. But then it's going to be a point where it's like, I've done all I can do. What am I supposed to do now? Well, you can release the things that you cannot control. And a lot of us spend so much time, and I see some of my clients, spend so much time trying to control the things that we cannot control, to avoid responsibility for the things that we can control, that when they reach to the stage, they're facing a lot of discomfort and a lot of resistance, because the idea that you can't control something and you got to let that go can feel really daunting for them, right? Because now it's like, this is the ultimate test. Like, what do you mean let it go? What do you mean not controlling this person on that situation? And that's part of this process. So the beautiful thing about this stage is all you got to do is focus on letting go of the things that you can control. And that's how you experience that freedom, that liberation. You get to really be like, I'm in flow and I'm not getting caught up in the streets, because you know you're moving in alignment with your intuitive guidance. You know you're moving in alignment with what you want to do. And you're also freeing yourself of the worry of the things that you no longer control. So those are the 4 C's of the self-trust system. And then there's a map to go through this. And the map piece includes 3 steps. Each step, 3 phases. And each phase has 3 steps. And it basically walks you through how to navigate these stages, because you're going to find yourself at these stages multiple times. And you may be in multiple stages at the same time. You may be in an area in your life where you are reacting, moving out of old patterns, but you may be in a stage in your life where you are steering and you're just focusing on releasing the things that you can't control. And you may be in another area where you're learning to be more responsive and you're focusing on meeting your own expectations. And you may be in another stage where you're just thriving, right? So when you see the system, it's more clear to you, this is where I am. This is what I'll need to do to move to the next step. And then the self-trust roadmap is the second part of the system. It helps you do exactly that. So that's the system.
I have a question for you around self-trust and working with clients.
Yeah.
How have you seen your clients deal with, or what kind of issues have you seen from your clients trying to work on their self-trust during the pandemic?
Oh man, the pandemic has been a really interesting time for my clients. And I think for everybody, not just my clients, but I think a lot of them during the pandemic have this bug to like do more and to be like, I'm coming out of this with something packaged and something to deliver, to show for myself. But sometimes the thing you have to show for yourself is unseen, right? It's that ability to like look within and to do some of this emotional digging, to do some of this inner work. For the first time, they have the bandwidth to have the stillness so that they can face all these things. And it can be very difficult for them, for my clients and for everybody to kind of navigate that and to do that, right? So one of the issues have been sitting in the space with stillness and compassion for themselves, for now walking out with a 10-figure business or whatever it is.
That was something that was, I remember the memes at the beginning of the pandemic. It was like, if you didn't use this time to become productive, go kill yourself, or something like that,
Yikes.
right?
Yikes, internet. And that's big. That's a very big thing. And another thing is learning to have grace for themselves. For a lot of my clients, this time has been a little lonely. You know, they may not have a partner, they may not have a spouse. Some of them are actually going through the process of divorce right now. So just questioning those decisions and asking themselves, do I really need to do this, right? Like, is this what makes the most sense? Because self-trust, really trusting intuitive guidance, the voice of God within, that means that the external world may not be matching what you're being led to do. So being able to like still take action where what you're feeling internally doesn't match your reality, that's very uncomfortable, because it's like, okay, I'm trying to do this thing over here, but I'm being led to do this thing over here. And they look very counterproductive or counterintuitive, versus just having that trust that what you've been given, it's something that you can execute on, that you are going to have the people in your circle to help you execute on that vision, and that God didn't make a mistake by putting that in your heart. So self-trust is not just a one thing. It's not about me trusting myself. It's a three-part kind of process I've discovered, because you first have to trust that what's been put in your heart by God or the universe, whatever higher source you think of, you believe in, is in there for a reason. Then you have to trust that you have what you need to execute on that. And then you have to trust that you're going to be surrounded by the right people to help you make that happen. But if you're missing any one of those components, then you're going to have a really difficult time executing on those things. And then you're going to feel like it's a scam.
Can you, particularly on that last one, you said to execute without the right people around you. What if you don't have anybody else to help you execute? What can you do to still achieve the outcome that you desire?
I think we live in an era where you can get people around you, particularly like virtually. But if you like literally, I can't get no one around me, books is a great way to get people around you.
So when you say people, you don't mean actual people. It's probably more ideas, getting help. Doesn't necessarily have to be somebody physically or someone that you know that you talk to all the time helping you. It's literally just other people providing information to help you.
It depends on where you are, to be quite frank with you, because it literally is about having a different perspective. So whatever way you can get a different perspective, that's really what it means to align yourself with people that have information that you may not necessarily have. Now, depending on your subconscious patterns and the things that you need, you may need someone to be there with you. You may need to hire a coach. Maybe listening to a podcast or reading a book is not enough for you. Maybe you'll need some more than that, but you need to be available to that in the first place. Have that open mind. And a lot of times we're not creating space for that because we feel like, well, I should be able to do this by myself, or I shouldn't need no help. Even being available to receiving help. That's why the thriving stage is such an important stage, because it's where you open yourself to receive help. And that's how you can amplify your impact, because you are able to get that feedback from other people, which means that you have to be open to learning that there are some things you're doing that are not helping your situation, so that you can change those things. So it's not just about, it's how you work best and what's the best way for you to receive that perspective, right? Because some people, they could read a book and they'll implement on what that book is saying. Some people are like, yeah, girl, I read that book 10 times and I ain't doing that, So,
So
it's different. It really is different. It depends on you as a person, and you having that level of self-awareness. So like the first phase of the self-trust system roadmap is self-awareness. It's about being aware of you, of how you're navigating, how you're moving through things. Because if you're not aware about you and how you're operating, you're going to have a difficult time amplifying anything that you do, because you're not going to be open to making the changes that will be required to do that.
Episode coming soon.
What, self-awareness?
Yeah, we have an episode on each stage.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Are you officially my co-host now?
No, I'm not.
You're just hanging out for today?
Hanging out for today.
And maybe the next episode.
We'll see.
We'll see where that takes us. How has it been for you to kind of see this transition in the business for me too? I'm curious on your perspective.
I've taken up the mantle of letting go a lot of things. And we were talking about intuition earlier, and I think for me, you had given me or coined me as the business manager. And when I was probably a little bit more active earlier in the year in helping create the self-trust system, that was cool. But I think I was still, whenever we have projects that we work on, we're both creative and we both want to do what we want to do, right? So
yeah,
I've always found that, like, as much as we do work together on things, we still need our own space. So I've been really trying to let this be your space, not set so much direction, just come in, ask strategic questions, and then, not say, I think you should do this. It's like, here's what I would do, and then, go back and do whatever I'm doing. That's why the stuff I've been talking about at the beginning, I've been trying to focus more on that stuff. And then what it's also allowed me to do is really kind of figure out what it is that maybe I want to do long term around books. And I enjoy having conversations like this. Like, this is fun. We can have free flowing conversations around certain topics, and it doesn't necessarily have to be so, as you would say, rigid in certain areas.
Get out of my head.
So for me, I think, like I said, letting go and giving space, letting it breathe a little bit more has been good. It hasn't always, then you do that and you're used to having some sense of control, as we call it. And if you let it go, it's like, oh shit, what's going on now? But, at the end of the day, as I told you, I'm going to be good. You're going to be good. We're going to be good. Yeah. So however we get there, we're going to get there. Just let's go along for the ride. It doesn't have to look a certain way. But then, even though it doesn't have to look a certain way, I'm here. I'm talking about it. We talk about business pretty much every day.
We do sometimes.
I helped create the name for the system and put it together. So even though stepping back, it's still, fingerprints are there. So it's just the, what's the word that we always use, the expectation of doing certain things a certain way. When at the end of the day, if you don't have that expectation, things still are going to get done.
Exactly.
So it's been cool, and it's cool seeing you take responsibility for other things that you may have not before. We had a conversation today about running ads, and you're talking about things around it, and that was maybe something before I was more hands-on with, but I've kind of step back a little bit. So now, this is your business. So you have to step into that vacuum and make sure things are going all right. We've been working with, it's not a coach, but someone to help you with the ads. And you've had all the communication with them. One thing I've said to them was, hey, I see you doing good work. But I've kind of let go and it's like, hey, I'm going to let you do what you do with that and follow your intuition on what needs to be done with that. And, at times it may mean some things may slip, right? Because can't do everything, and they do. But how do you learn unless you have to go through those issues and learn? Okay, this is somewhere where I have to take responsibility if I want to be successful.
That is so cool that's your perspective on it now, which is a really great segue into the next part of the conversation, which is just talking about the state of the marriage.
Oh, state of the marriage.
State of the marriage address.
Is that on the agenda? We got no time for state of the marriage address.
Don't make it hot. Don't make it hot. I wanted to just kind of hear your thoughts on how is the marriage doing? How do you feel about our partnership? I mean, we have evolved so much since 2015 when we said I do. And even more so since we moved to Florida. I feel like this has been marriage boot camp for us in a certain way, where we have learned to get closer, but also give each other more space, be more trusting of one another, while at the same time be more compassionate and available to the other person's needs differently. So I'm curious for you, because you decided to go back to work, and I'm still doing the business. How are you feeling about all these things and all these transitions that we're experiencing in our relationship?
So we are in officially year 6 now.
7.
We got 2015 is 2021.
Yeah, 6.
6? Okay.
No.
Something like that.
Somebody do the math.
But I would say I think we got past the first 5 years. So the first 5 years, you argue about stuff like dishes and stuff like that. And then we got over that. And one big thing about that, and this is something we laugh about it all the time, but it's true. We do what we want, right? So
yes.
With someone in the house, or it's only 2 of us, right? Someone tells you to do something or asks you why you're doing it, the response is typically because I do what I want, right? And so it honestly works really well for us because, one, we don't get offended because you're right, because I do what I want too. So no one's out here having fights over something not getting done, because in those first 5 years we came to the conclusion that, hey, if you want something done, it's better just go do it yourself. If you're thinking about that, you need somebody to do something, by the time you did it, you're thinking about it for the next day or two. Like, this person didn't do this, they didn't pick up this. It was like, if you would have picked it up, no one would have had to think about it, and you could have went on with your life. But you spent the last 2 days thinking about something another person didn't even realize was going on, right? So that's one. So we do what we want. Now, when you have a kid, that might change a little bit. Somebody gonna have to change the stinking diaper.
That's in the roadmap.
Oh, it's on the roadmap. So we may have to have a conversation about that. But, in general, it may not change, because same thing may apply. It's not like we want our kid to be sitting around in a stinky diaper or something like that. Like, we want these things. We just have to make it a priority for ourselves to do that, right? So that's one. What's the question again? So I can make sure I'm on topic. State of marriage. Oh, yeah. State of marriage. So we've moved into the, I'll say, 5 to 10 year range. So the things that we're
marriage, we moved into the 5 to 10 year range.
I'm not talking about other stuff. No. This is definitely marriage related stuff. Yes. And so now it's more about letting the other person truly be who they are without the guidelines of who you thought they should be coming into the marriage, or who you were trying to make them into within those first 5 years, or us first getting together of, hey, I need you to go to the grocery store with me every day, or when I go to the grocery store, we need to go together, or hey, we need to split the housework 50-50. I need you to fold these clothes if I wash them. The next phase of things that we're thinking about is, okay, what is it that makes you the best person you can be? What are the things that we can do together, but what are the things that we can do apart as well? But in general, I've never said I have a bad marriage. I think I have probably one of the best marriages that I know. And I think a lot of that is due to us being just compatible on a number of levels. We like to read. We like to have discussions about what we read. We like to have fun. We're both athletic. We play tennis together. Or we do all of our working out together pretty much, even before we were in this tennis hole, going and working with our coach every week. We pretty much, I think we might have played 5 times this week. The only time I think we didn't play was maybe Friday. We do a lot of that together. And, the bedroom is still popping. So that is also important. And we have our time apart too. So, whenever you're talking to your friends, I'm reading, or I'm playing Xbox, talking to my friends, or working on maybe some music. So we have our things that we do to ourselves. And then we also have the things that we can do together.
Usually involves me watching RuPaul's Drag Race, which I am obsessed with.
Yes. Obsessed with the queens. And may the best woman
It's Miss Queen now.
Miss Queen.
Best Queen. Best Queen because it's gender neutral. So it's like
I can't. It's too much. It's too much.
Just may the best queen win.
May the best queen win.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
We're not. This is not the gender pronoun podcast.
It's not.
We're having the marriage. Just the state of the
marriage. Checking in, seeing, giving an update before we start with the regular episodes of the podcast.
What else about the marriage? Now, I think those are really the highlights. I think the biggest thing in this phase of our marriage is releasing or officially getting past all of the old expectations and just being open to what's coming next, what can now manifest itself now that we're not looking over each other's shoulders and being critical all the time. When we're still open to feedback from each other. So and we're not perfect yet. There are still some things that we need to do, taxes. But all in all, I think our communication is open, and I just enjoy being around you. I spend a whole lot of time with you. Yeah. So I think for the amount of time we spend with each other, and we don't get on each other's nerves that much, I think we're good.
I think as our marriage is like on stage 4 of the self-trust system. Like it's on that stage where it's like, all right, all you gotta do is like go at things you can control and be so that you can steer the direction of where you want to go. So definitely in a marriage is a place where I will put us in like that fourth stage. It's like we're getting ready to begin the next pyramid or the next cycle, whatever that looks like for us. In the near future. So even for me, like I think I've always said we have a really great partnership. Like I do what I want is the mantra, is the motto for our home. And
but somehow things get done.
They get done all the time. And right? I would say they're getting done more efficiently now than before to a certain level.
That reminds me. Can I come back to what I think about the marriage? I have one thing.
I thought you was done, bro.
No, but this is important because I was thinking about this example of like the type of quote unquote issues we're now having. And it's not issues per se. It's people coming around to ways of thinking. And we've talked about this before.
We know this is going.
And this is going to the Grant Hill and Tamika example.
Tamika
is a client or somebody you do the podcast with, right? Yes. Tamia. So the famous singer Tamia and her basketball Hall of Famer Grant Hill.
Who is fine. Apparently, I say that every time. He brings it up.
And so Grant Hill, when he was playing, he wanted to get to bed at a certain time, and he didn't like the TV on because he felt he could sleep better without having a TV in the bedroom, which is something that we actually agree with. So we don't have a TV in our bedroom, but his wife would want to fall asleep with the TV on, and he didn't necessarily like that. So he was like, fine, I'm just going to go sleep in the other room. So throughout his playing career, if he didn't want to listen to the TV at night, he would just go and sleep in the other room. Well, now he's retired. He's an analyst now on basketball. But he said in an interview that his wife now is turning off the TV so that she can sleep better at night. And so he definitely felt some type of way
took that personally
about Tim doing that, about her doing that, right? Because he's like, I was trying to get you to do this for years. Why are you just popping up now trying to
My
do this?
My career is over. Right? I'm done playing ball.
Right? And so I would definitely say, one of the things I was probably more like that on with like dishes and being clean or cleanly.
I would say orderliness.
Orderliness. Okay. That's a good summary, is orderliness. But now the person, I'm not gonna say the person who's most orderly, but someone who's definitely stepped up their orderliness is Bae. Like there are times she's looking at me like, why is this dish still over here? Are you gonna put it away? And I'm like, whoa, where did this woman come from? I was trying to get this 5 years ago at the beginning. But it just shows that when you let go of things, things just happen on their own.
They come around.
But you also, to that point, also realize that, what your thoughts and what your feelings on the inside is reflected on the outside.
Absolutely.
And vice versa. So if you're not orderly on the outside, it's going to seep into your inside.
Absolutely.
And you look around, and it starts with your office. Your office is always clean. Like, the rest of the house could not be orderly, but her office, I'm like, you clean your office. What about all the other stuff? You got to share. Like, I'm out here too. So that, I would say that is the next phase. This is the phase we're going to. So we graduated from that. Now we're into the phase of where we're more aligning on topics like that.
Yeah, look at you. That was a really great summary of the state of the marriage.
Oh,
I like that. I like that. Maybe in the next episode, we'll talk about what's next for us.
You got it. What about you? What's the state of the marriage from you? You said a little bit, and
and then you do your
so
thing.
Now we're gonna let you re-up.
I mean, I think we're in a really great place. I've never felt like we were, well, even
that time. No, you ain't going nowhere.
So that time I was gonna go somewhere, then I didn't. That's hilarious. I just had another. The inside jokes never end. We can't just put y'all into every single joke. It's too many jokes. I feel really good about our marriage. I've always felt like, even when I didn't think that way, I felt like we have a very solid partnership. You came with a very solid level of self-love. So I have never really have to be anything for you, even if I felt like I had to. Those were mostly projections of my own beliefs and the experiences I had. They were not necessarily demands that were coming from you. So I've always felt that you and I, we get each other. We love it when we're together as much as we love it when we're not.
Yes.
It's like our favorite thing. Like, my favorite part of being with you is also not being with you. It's like, it's awesome. And now we've entered a space where you, which has always represented order order and structure in our relationship. And that have always been more on like the free flowing and the intuitive without structure energy. Our female and male energies, I feel like, are getting more merged to a point where they're more in harmony with each other. So we're finding more balance in our relationship without coming at it from the expense of the other person. So it's just really creating more space for, like you said earlier, you to be the best in the world at what you are, and for me to be the best in the world at what I am, without feeling like that takes away from the other person or from their relationship as a whole. So I think it's amazing, and I'm so grateful for our partnership, because there is a lot of work that goes into being the best in the world of the things that I am. And I can't imagine being in partnership with someone that didn't understand the level of space that takes, and wasn't willing to play the tambourine in a way that I may need for it to be played, for me to do the things that I'm trying to do. And I don't take those things for granted, because there's a lot of subconscious beliefs that I've had to work through over the years, that I'm just getting at some of the nucleus of those beliefs now, or closer to the nucleus of those beliefs now, because you're constantly creating space for my growth and for my development by not getting in the way. All right. Like, there's different ways that we can create space, but definitely one way is by just minding your business and letting that person do what they need to do. Like, whether that means I'm getting up in the morning, I need my 2 hours so I can sit down and do my energy healing, do my meditation.
I'm like, bro, I'm sleeping in. Like,
and I do. Like, that's my journey, you know? Like, even when I was waking up at 5 a.m. and I'm like, I gotta go, I gotta do my stuff. You're like, all right, girl, bye. Like, it's you're not someone that's like, you don't feel threatened by my growth. You don't feel threatened by my desire to be the most authentic version of myself. So whatever that looks like. So I'm always grateful for that. And I think that as a partnership, we're just getting better at it with more and more time, because we're not making it hot about these other things. And since now I'm really focusing on like, what does self-mastery look like for you, Nory? And how can I really trust myself to another dimension that I may not even have fathomed? The things that you were saying before, they take on a different meaning, right? So things are on order. I'm much more pressed about it. Like, I'm looking at my desk right now, and it's not necessarily orderly because of the setup that we have going on to record this video. And I'm like, I can't wait till I can finish cleaning this desk, like, as soon as we're done. But that's just where I am now, right? Versus before, I would have been like, I don't really care about these things. I don't see the importance of it. So I think now we're getting to a place where both of us, we are doing things because we genuinely care and we genuinely see value in them, and not necessarily trying to rebel against them because the other person is bringing it up and we don't feel like doing it. Because I think we had moments where we were doing some of that. I definitely can say I was doing some of that definitely in the relationship. So it's been a minute. It's been a minute. It's been great because even how that being in a partnership like this has fostered my own self-trust, because by me I needed to be something for you, it has forced me to be like, okay, so what is the thing that I'm really trying to be, right? Like if I'm not defining myself by something external, then it's really pushing me within to decide, well, how will I define myself and how will I operate in that context? And how am I going to bring those things to life? And I think for many years of my life, I didn't necessarily have the freedom to do that because there were so many things that I felt I had to be in ways I needed to behave to receive love and to be worthy of love, that being with someone that has such a high level of self-love just creates more space for me to build my own self-love, because it's like, all right, well, obviously this man don't need me, he fine, so like it's just go do me over here, whatever that looks like. And it's just really dope. I love it. And I also see us just evolving, like the books we are reading. I mean, I know we love to read, check out Books with Bae, but we are even getting more into like the spiritual end of our reading and talking more about God and talking more what that looks like in Jesus and the teachings of the Bible. Like the range of how the discussions that we're having are coming back to things that we learned in childhood, but now it makes sense in a different way. Yes. It's not like being pushed on us, but instead it's like, oh no, there's some truth here. So I think we're now at the point where you know what's truth for you and I know what's truth for me, and our truths are coming together in a way that it's like, oh, this is the truth. Like this is what's truth for us.
Oh ye.
Ezekiel.
Oh ye. Yeah, the Bible is definitely making a lot more sense these days than it did. Maybe was the last time I probably picked one up 11, 12 years ago, back when I was in college.
So
yeah.
I check out the Bible very frequently. I have one at my altar that I use and I read, but I would definitely say like the discussions we're having more around, like the other day you put out a verse on me. It's like, what? Babe pulling out a verse on me. Those things are new for us, but we're doing it. Not that we have been against church or against all these things, but I think now we got into a place where it's like, oh, it makes sense for us to get to this place and to have these conversations and to just see the truth for what it is. And just because we don't like the messenger, let's not take away from the message at hand, and that can make our lives just a better place. Yeah. So yes, this was so much fun. Did y'all like that? Did y'all have a good time with us today? This was episode one. I'm always trying to start from zero.
So is this the Pouncil's podcast? Is I'm Healthy Fit?
No, this is the Self-Trust podcast. Self-Trust podcast. And we were just sharing an update on what we've been up to, what we've been working on, how are things going with us. I mean, the podcast launched around the time we were leaving our 9-to-5s. So this is a good way of coming back full circle and just kind of checking in and being like, hey, this is kind of what has been going on since then. And JP may make an appearance. It all depends if he feels like it, if he wants to do it. If not, he won't, because that's how it is here. We do what we want. But if he just has to show up, he's more likely to show up than if.
No, I think you made a good observation. I do like asking questions because I'm always willing to dig deeper. You say something, I'm like, oh, I wonder what she thinks about this.
Ooh, sexy time.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's why I say you're becoming a better interviewer.
I'm not even trying.
It's not hard for a questioner.
Yeah, it's not hard.
Yeah.
So
it's cool. So yeah, that was today's episode. Just wanted to do a quick catch up with you. Oh, what are you reading? That's something that I'm going to start asking my guests.
I've been reading Maps of Meaning by Jordan Peterson. I can't recommend that book though because it's a textbook. It's like 30 hours, and I would recommend his latest book, 12 More Rules Beyond Order. That's I would say a more introductory to JP. That's more digestible. Once you read that, and if you're really ambitious, move on to Maps of Meaning. We also recently, for Books with Bay, we read The Game of Life and How to Play It. So not sure where this podcast will be, but we'll link to those videos as well.
It will be in all places where podcasts can be listened to.
And I think that's it right now. Those are the 3 books. I just finished the Beyond Order, just finished The Game of Life, and I'll be reading Maps and Meeting probably for the next 5 episodes that you have.
Forever.
What about you?
I am currently reading also 3 books. So I just wrapped up the complete Game of Life and How to Play It with JP. I'm reading Becoming Superhuman by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Supernatural.
Yeah, thank you. Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I can't really recommend this book enough. Like, this is such a really great book, but you have to have an open mind. Again, if you don't got an open mind, don't read anything I recommend.
You're also watching him too on...
Yeah, so I have a Gaia membership, I think it's called. This episode is not sponsored by them, but if they would like to, I am available. And he has a series there, basically called, the title of this book, Becoming Supernatural. And it's a great series. He talks a lot about quantum physics and how to really utilize meditation and breathing techniques to bring more, step into the quantum field. The 5th dimension is what he calls it, to manifest more things in your life. So yeah, obsessed with everything. You'll probably hear us talking about quantum physics in the podcast if JP comes back. And
we're talking about energy too in this. And
lots of energy.
Thing is a lot of energy and graphs that are in this book and the graphs that they show in the episodes that she's watching. And like, I learned that in engineering school because we talk a lot about electricity. All this based on physics. So yeah, a lot of overlap there too.
So he's dope, and he has a lot of research for everybody to be. I mean, the doctor is not just for show. Although I don't know what that would mean to somebody, but he really does a lot of this research, and he talks about it in the show that he has in Gaia, I think it's what it's called. I may be pronouncing them wrong. But yeah, lots of meaning, lots of symbolism stuff too. Like, I'm a symbolism student right now.
A lot of the symbols that you like telling me about, and I'm like, hey, actually, I'm reading about that over at Maps and Meeting, or this other book that I'm reading. Here it is.
I know. And lots of alchemy stuff too. Like, alchemy is like an underlying theme on everything that I'm reading. All right, I gotta check the time because I got a book club discussion in a few. So other thing I'm reading, self-compassion. I'm reading that with the Self-Trust Book Club. You peep that branding. Self-Compassion is the book that we're currently reading with the Self-Trust Book Club. It's by this author. Her name is Kristen Neff. And this is a very fascinating book because there are so many things that we can work on as we are working our way through self-mastery. And self-compassion is one of them. And this idea of giving ourselves unconditional amounts of grace is something that JP and I were talking about in the Books with Bay episode we recorded right before the podcast. So y'all can listen to that because we got into a whole serious on that in that conversation around how much self-compassion is too much, how much grace is too much. And I was even talking to one of my clients about this 2 days ago. So in this book, the basic notion is that there's not enough. We can always give ourselves more grace, more self-compassion, because then we can give it to other people, and the world can use a little more self-compassion always. And what's on the other side of grace? Judgment, rejection, shame, and guilt. So it's a really great book. I'm having a great time with the book club reading it. He has a bunch of exercises in there too. So it's been fun to see the book club kind of doing these exercises and kind of talking through them and how they're applying them. And it's just really a fun time. So those are the books that I'm reading. I'm also reading Alchemy by, what's his name?
Are you still reading that?
Yeah. I mean, when you're reading 3 books, not everybody can get it.
This is number 4.
This is number 4.
This is number 4 that you said.
Alchemy by, what's his name? This is by someone that used to work at the Ogilvy firm.
He still does.
He's still there.
Yeah, he's like maybe the head or not. Roy Sutherland.
Rory Sutherland is his name, and he wrote this book called Alchemy, where he talks about basically marketing in the context of alchemy and how to transmute ideas in ways that you may not have considered and really rethink basic ideas like why do people take the train, or why do people stand up in the train, or why do people use the bathroom. So it's just really, really a really cool read. Plus, he's over at the Ogilvy firm, which is one of the best firms for advertising. So, you know, obviously I'm always trying to learn how to be the best at things. So yeah, that's what I'm reading.
All right.
Well, thank y'all for joining us this week. We will see you. Well, I will see you next week for sure. If JP feels like it, he may see you too. I just want to be clear with y'all about that, because I don't want you to be like, why JP not on the podcast? Because he doesn't feel like it, and that's how we run things in our home.
Or I'm doing something else.
He's busy.
Yeah,
you know, he does other things with his time besides chit-chatting with me. But yeah, thank y'all for joining me today. It's great to have an update with you. Thank you, Bae, for sharing your thoughts in the state of the marriage.
All right.
And everything in between. And we will see y'all in the next episode.
Later.
Hasta luego.